Here we go, man. Hello and welcome to the 2400 Block, a Jonnyroobs and Company podcast. This is Jonnyroobs here again on a Friday night, and I am here with my friend over there in San Antonio, Dan the Man Bale. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well, man. How's it going?
I'm good. It's been a rough week, bro.
Wow,
It really
man.
has been. I got lots of thoughts in my mind, some of which I shouldn't be thinking about. And there's one in particular I like to discuss as it revolves around the workplace. I'll elaborate that. I'll even read the tweet out loud that I posted. It gotten friends' attention. They were concerned. So I'll be sure to address that later.
Okay.
But this topic here we're going to be talking about is the workplace, the work culture. I know there are the pros and cons. I know there's a lot of, if everything's negative, for sure, that'll always be discussed. I've seen it. White collar, blue collar, mom and pop shop, small businesses. I've seen it all, man. And it's toxic. I know it affects people in general. There was even something that happened here in Aurora where there was a shooting, workplace violence.
Oh, no.
I think a man was about to get fired. Next thing you know, he resorted to using a weapon. And I'm sure you've heard about the one in Virginia Beach that happened 2 years ago.
Yes, I do.
That was the time I was there too.
Oh, wow. You were there for that?
It was the shooting at the municipal building.
Mm-hmm.
So that one happened as well. So this is something we're going to talk about here. So Dan, what kind of workplace have you been in?
I mean, throughout my life, I've been in all, like you said, different things, blue collar, bagging groceries. I've been in retail at a mall job, been in call center, and, now I'm at my current job, which is pretty decent, national company, a big financial institution. So got 40,000 employees,
Oh, wow.
worldwide, actually. So, but I've been with my current job for over 20 years.
Oh,
So
that's good.
Yeah, finally found a place that, I could say I could, I'd like to retire from.
Mm-hmm.
So, and through that job, I've had a lot of different things to do. Started out as IT, actually doing support for, desktop support for people. Got a lot of certifications, training under the job as well, even though I had that as my background. And now I'm on a communications team, so doing videos, corporate videos, all different kinds of stuff. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. Was this something you learned in college, or did you major in something dealing with this type of work, camera work or audio work?
No. Back in the day in college, my major was a disappointment. I was a major disappointment. Mm-hmm. that was actually, I started out in the medical field for medical technology. And after 3.5 years of college classes for that, I said, yeah, maybe this isn't what I want to do. So it took a while. I was just floating. So this is not what I had learned in college. All of the video editing, video production, camera work, that's all stuff that I had learned on my own.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, my friend, I've also went on the same boat like you. Went to college. I tried to make the degree as useful as possible. It's hard to find that particular field, especially the area we were at. Mm-hmm. It's very competitive. It's kind of dry over there. And then I had a degree in, what was it? Graphic arts. That's what it was. Graphic arts and media advertising. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a thing. It kind of got me there for a while with other jobs, but I think I went as far as screen printing, but that was it.
Really?
And I think a few years later after that, I went to ECPI College of Technology. Mm-hmm. I did computer systems administration / IT. It's just a little bit of light networking. It's more of a customer service thing. But I've had some call center jobs, but that was it basically. And here I am now doing inventory work, non-related to everything that I majored in.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm blessed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're blessed. You got a job now. A lot of people can't say that, and especially during these times, it's hard, but yeah, it's tough to see a lot of people that are actually do what they set out to do since they were, young, that they always dreamed of. Because, when you've got the mindset of being in, high school and a teenager, you think that, oh, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Right. And then kind of understand what it really takes. It's not what you always think it is. Maybe, you haven't done enough research, or you've just seen it like what you think it is on TV or in the movies, and it's totally different. And that's kind of what it was for me. It's like, even though, it was lab work for me, it dawned on me, I think, that what I did, if I made a mistake, somebody's life would be in my hands.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, that's a lot of responsibility. And, is that something that I even really thought about? No, I just thought I'd be, tucked away, just, doing, blood tests, checking different tests. And that, then I realized, yeah, it's a bigger picture than that. So that's why I said, hey, if I get into the IT field, nothing's going to die except for a computer. So
I hear you, man. I hear you on that. Okay, the job itself, when we were working for this employer, I've had positions where I thought that it was what it's supposed to have been, but later on you start finding a little bit more of the truth as you go. You start feeling like you're not as valued as you thought you were. You're pretty much like, all the rest of the minions. That's how it felt for me. I mean, they were giving me like a whole description of things for me to do, and I thought it was that, but no. I mean, I felt like I was kind of deceived in some ways.
Yeah.
When it comes to position.
How long have you been there?
Well, for one of my jobs, I believe it was something with IT. I was only there for like maybe less than a year. Yeah. And it wasn't something that I hoped that would, it wasn't something that I didn't envision. I thought I could have been doing something more, especially dealing with the physical side of networking. I would have loved to do a lot more hands-on, go behind the scenes, get things physically connected. But no, I'm on the phone dealing with crazy customers, and that's basically it.
Yeah, that's just not what you expected. Like you were saying before, you thought you'd be racking servers and loading them up and doing all the network connectivity with, the routers. And yeah, when it's not what, you thought it was, then if you're in a position to get out of it, like if you're, just by yourself, or if you're single, if you're young, then yeah, nip that in the bud early, but even with the jobs, I mean, like I said, I've been at my job for 20 years, and hasn't been all, wine and roses. There have been some things like, well, why didn't I get this? Why did I get passed up for this promotion? Or, I'm doing a lot of the work, and, I'm, getting some, pats on the back and some attaboys, but, I'd rather be getting, a higher paycheck. And, why are other people that, to me, that aren't doing as well as I am, seem to be getting promoted? And of course, it always fell back to me that I didn't have a degree in my field. So when I was in IT, I had a lot of certifications, and I got a lot of those on the job. But timing was wrong when I was in the IT part, because on my career track, there wasn't a lot of advancement. It was, there's a lot of lateral moves, but there wasn't advancement. And then when I got to the communication side doing videos, there was room for advancement, but I didn't have a degree in that field. So I had experience to draw off of, but a lot of it was personal experience, not actual work experience. So not having a degree just didn't seem fair, because the work spoke for itself. It's just I couldn't get past the, what I put down on my resume, even though I was a point of contact in the company. And, I told you how large the company was, where people were seeking me out to do video work. Like, that's the guy that you need to do your videos. It wasn't translated to, a promotion. So that was a source of contention for me at the job. And that did just recently get resolved. So I did get a promotion recently, finally, because sometimes, your leadership gets in the way. Sometimes they have other ideas. Like you said, sometimes you're just one of the minions. You're not, they have a plan for you, but it's not for you.
Right.
The plan for you is really for them. They want to utilize you to put their plan in motion, as opposed to wanting to see you develop. But luckily, my current boss, she's not about that, because she's not trying to impress anybody. She's already in a position where she's already a higher up. So her job as my boss is to make sure that I succeed. That's the way a true leader should work. A true leader should be measured by how successful the employees that they manage are doing.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
Hey, sometimes do you sense some favoritism in your job? Like, you sometimes see how certain people, like with the boss, are treated more or are valued more compared to some of the ones on the bottom of the pecking order somewhere, and they're working so damn hard but not getting any recognition.
Yeah, I definitely see it all the time. I mean, it's hard to see from my end because I'm the one who's usually the favorite. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. No, I've seen it. And I've seen people try to do it at my company. However, given that my company is somewhat larger, things like that are really frowned upon. You don't have these relationships between managers and their employees where they can, show favoritism. It'll get called out very quickly. But I have seen it through, my working days, like when I was in the call centers. Yeah, you'd have people that were working hard, and it seemed that the reward they got for hard work was more work. And the people that were the favorites, that were chummy with the boss, they're the ones who advanced. Actually, one of my call center jobs, I was going for a nighttime supervisor position, and I was there at that company from the inception. I was one of the founding people. I was in a quality department at that time at the call center. And it was between me and this guy who had only been at the job for maybe a year. And he was not a great worker. He was a pretty boy, I had to say at the time. He actually, got chummy with a lot of the managers. And I hate to say it, they were female managers, and he got very flirty with them. And it was between me and him for a position. We both got interviewed for this nighttime supervisor position, and he got it. And I didn't understand why, because I had more work on my resume, more under my belt. I had more accolades. And it turns out that he kind of flirted, maybe took it a little further, with the director's secretary at the time. Oh. And she apparently gave him answers to, the director had asked 5 questions, and he only wanted very specific answers to these questions. So it didn't matter what your resume looked like, didn't matter, how well you did your job. If you could give the answer to these 5 questions, you were going to get the job. And that's the information he got out of the secretary, and he got the job. And, he didn't last long at it. I had left. Well, he was still there when I left, but I heard afterwards he didn't really last long.
Oh, okay.
So, but that just goes to show you, it's like, just because you're the favorite doesn't mean they're the best workers. And hopefully, that bit the hiring managers in the butt. So, but yeah, it goes on all the time. But but I think I'd mentioned it before. People need to understand that you can stand up for yourself. Of course, there's fear of retaliation, but when there's a boss that you may not be getting along with, there's always, well, not always, but most of the time, there's somebody above them. So they report to somebody as well. So if they're behaving badly, then they can be reported as well. Don't forget that, just because they're your manager doesn't mean that you can't stand up for what's right.
Yeah.
But, you can't always change everything, though. And The only thing you can change is your environment. If you're in a toxic place and you can't change it, if it's not worth it, then maybe it's time to move on.
Yeah, that's true. Dealing with the boss, I know they got so much going on. Even my girlfriend knows about that. Mm-hmm. Since she's a boss as well, and she manages over 50 people. And I see the pressures. I see how it affects them. Sometimes they're very moody. Sometimes I feel kind of it feels kind of weird. Like, how am I going to act? I don't know if this manager is in the right frame of mind or in the right mood to even conversate with me. But just being sometimes in the room alone, and you're there, and she directs you to be in the room. Mm-hmm. It's hard to even act while you're mm-hmm. there, because she's going through a whole lot mm-hmm. of pressure.
Yeah, that's true. And a lot of times when you have somebody who's a boss, who's like what they call middle management, they're getting it from both ends. So they're getting, because they have to lead a whole group of people, but then they're being told by their bosses that, oh, you need to, to shape up this crew, or you need to do this, because the bad thing about being a boss is that if you're an effective boss, an effective leader, you would take all of the blame and take none of the credit. Credit goes to your team, but it's you as leader would accept responsibility for anything goes wrong. So mm-hmm. yeah, I can understand that pressure. But on the other hand, that any of that negative energy shouldn't be redirected toward the employees, because there are people too that's the people that you're counting on to do the job. Exactly. So I feel if you're at a job where you're afraid to be around your leader, around your boss, because you're not sure which side of that boss is going to come out. Yeah, that seems a little toxic. Yeah,
what's worse is like they just call you into the room. They're like, John, here. And then next thing you know, they're having a phone call, and all of a sudden it doesn't seem good. And it seems like they're about to have a fit. And you just seem to be in an uncomfortable position.
I know, but you're an adult. Everybody mm-hmm. that's working there is an adult, and this boss is nobody's parent. The boss is there to manage the work, mm-hmm. And to resolve conflicts. The boss is not there to berate people. They're not drill sergeants. They're not your parents. They're not your teachers. So you should never be afraid to be able to stand up to your boss. Because then fire me. That's the thing. That's the worst thing you can do. You can't kill. Well, I guess you can't. Anybody kill anybody. But I'm just saying. You're gonna fire me. I hate this job anyway. Okay, what else are you gonna do? You're gonna write me up. When I was in a retail job at the mall, I went through that instance. I had a really bad boss who, he was, he played favorites. Mm-hmm. He sucked up to his boss, to his director, and he took over when my old boss left from another store, and he just thought he was going to have the run of the roost, just so you guys are just going to listen to what I do, and he overstepped his bounds a lot. There was one time when I had to call in. My girlfriend at the time, her little brother, who was a toddler, like 2, he was sick. We had to take him to the hospital, and I knew he wouldn't take that as an excuse. So he said, and so I called in. I just said I was sick, and you're gonna have to expect sometimes people are sick. This is a mall job, It's like you can't think that people don't are not going to have work-life balance if they're not feeling well. So he just didn't think that was right. So I was I was a teenager. I was living with my parents at the time. He called my house to say, to try to find out from my parents if I was really sick. And then he asked for me, and they said, well, he's not home. He said, well, maybe you should check so and so's house, which was my girlfriend. That's that's overstepping the bounds. So I went in there. He said, well, I'm going to have to write you up. And he tried to be hard and tried to intimidate me. I said, okay, where do I sign? And I knew I wasn't going to let him think that he could break me, that he had any power over me. And once he saw that I wasn't cowering before him, he tried to be a nice guy. And so well, it's just a formality. I got to do this. And it's and I'm thinking, no, you don't, because you didn't prove that I wasn't sick. You didn't, so whatever, I'm signing whatever I got to sign. I'm still getting paid. You didn't fire me. So do what you got to do.
Mm.
So that's one thing, especially now at our ages. Like I said, you shouldn't be afraid of somebody who's just a person, you know.
Yeah.
And that it's a person, and don't be afraid of the position.
I hear you. Okay, now focusing on the employees. We're staying away from the manager now. We're focusing on the employees. Okay. As you know, everybody comes from a different type of community, and they all converge on this work community. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of some differences going on. The job itself is easy, if of course if they put their minds to it. But then of course we all got to realize we're human. We all have situations that are sometimes beyond our control, or sometimes people are just so over dramatic than others. You know, they're just so opinionated. They always think they're right. You got clashing of personalities, and then all that just affects the way the work goes logistically. You know, and I've seen it happen in the job that I'm in right now. It's crazy. People just losing it, and the job itself is just easy. It's something you can finish in like 5-6 hours, but then some people just don't have the patience and then make a scene in front of the public.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you know, the thing is, you can't control what other people do, and you do your job, you stick to your job. Any workplace, people are there to get together, to get a job done, to be pleasant towards each other. If you don't want to be pleasant, then you don't even have to say anything. You don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want. But you don't have to make a scene, throw a tantrum. I mean, and you know, you're right. I've seen people do that. You know, they get upset, and you know, they want to show everybody else that they're upset. You know, when I was younger, I did at the commissary, I did things like that. You know, it's like, we're not going to get a lunch. What do you mean? Why do they get to do a lunch? We got to stay here. You know, we're the last ones to get lunch, and then you know, you make a whole scene. And I mean, you let the person do that, they're the ones who are looking foolish. Just, you know, if you don't react to it, that because that's exactly what they're wanting to get. They want a reaction out of people. So I'll give you the scenario, like you said. Somebody's at the job and they're just fed up with it, and then they start yelling. They say, "This place sucks," you know, and then you know they're throwing a tantrum, and then people are crowding around them, saying, "Hey, you know, just calm down. It's not going to be bad. You know, it's okay. You know, calm down." It's like, you know, and then maybe they get you know, confrontational with people, or maybe you know they just take in all the pity. Either way, people are around them, you know, trying to assuage them, trying to, you know, calm them down, and that's scenario A. Now, scenario B is same person does the same thing, but nobody pays attention to them. How foolish does that person look if nobody turns around while they're over here ranting and raving? You know, so that's the thing. It's like a toddler. It's like they just want the attention. And because if you really are upset with the job, with something, you know, you can walk off, blow off some steam. You know, you don't have to make a scene to tell. You can bring somebody aside that you trust and tell them, "Hey, this is really tough on me. Can you just walk with me so I can go ahead and talk with you and vent?" That's how you do it. But when you're right, you're in front of the public, you know, and you're out there, you know, yelling and cussing, then yeah, it's more about wanting the attention.
I think the last time I did a scene similar to that, well, it wasn't really as bad like that, but I was working. It was already maybe 6.5 hours. I have not eaten at all, and my stomach was just getting to me, and I was kind of like just muttering to myself, saying, "Man, when am I gonna go on lunch?" And then I'm sorry to put her on the spot, but my girlfriend overheard me, and she's just like, "You go to lunch, go ahead," you know. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I should have reasoned with her. I could have asked her rather than mutter to myself. See, that was the bad part that I did, was muttering to myself rather than talk to her directly about it and asking for lunch.
And I think that's where people get how that escalates, because it gets built up in your mind. You know, you're in a bad situation, like, you know, like you said, you haven't had a lunch, or, you know, like having a break, and you know, I'm worn out and everybody else is getting breaks, you know. But a lot of people don't stop to think to say, "Hey, can I go ahead and get a break?" They'll say like, "Oh, I'm stuck here working," and I'm going to continue. And, you know, they kind of build themselves up into, you know, into victimizing themselves when it was really simple, because like if you had, I'll put you on the spot, if an hour and a half before you muttered that, if you had said to her, is it okay if I grab something to eat just real quick?
Yeah.
Do you think she would have said no or yes?
I think she would have said yes.
Yeah.
And say it kind.
Yeah.
Not behind her back and muttering. And this was like less than a month ago. So this is recent.
I didn't hear any of this.
Yeah.
This won't go any further than a public podcast.
It's true. Yeah, folks, even your host here has a little bit of some flaws, but that's life.
We think about ourselves first. I mean, that's human. We're the stars in our own movies in our head. So we're always the hero in the movies. So when something's going wrong, we kind of play on that. So it's kind of when you get around that and just think of the simpler solution, then it's usually not as bad as you build it up to be in your head.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, what else can we talk about here with the workplace culture? Job growth. Do you see a lot of that on your end? Like they help you grow? I know you have like a position, but then they would like you to do more, and then to probably take some courses or take some resources and learn from that.
I'd say at my job, they're very good about that. It is about development. They give you, one of the benefits is they'll pay for tuition up to $10,000 a year. They give you get a basically an education credit card. Oh. So there's no excuse to not take advantage of that. The company, the actual directive of the company is they want to see their employees succeed, but it's usually sometimes when you have leadership that doesn't have the best intentions, they're the ones who hold people back, because if you're a good worker on their team, I don't want to lose I don't want to lose Joseph, so why would I want him to get a promotion and go to another department? I'm going to keep him here because he's making my numbers look good. So like I said, my boss has been very good about it. She's like, hey, you're really great at what you do, and you contribute a lot. She said, even though I'd hate to let you go, if you were to go somewhere else that you thought would fit you better, or you wanted to get a promotion to go somewhere else, I'll support you 100%, even though I would hate to do it, because I'm losing a good worker. But and that makes me want to stay with her on the team even more, knowing that she supports me like that. And that's good to have leaders like that. But I know it's not like that for every company, where they want you to develop. Sometimes they just want worker bees, and you're expendable, if you the job that you do, if you put your all into it and you retire and you retire penniless, okay, well, we're just going to go ahead and replace you with somebody else, and that's kind of where you look at, my job is at some place that I can see myself finishing my life, my work career at, is ideally a job is something that should be fulfilling, but for most people, a job is an obstacle to get through so you can finally retire. That's what's sad. It's tough. Not everybody can have the job they want. So
that's true. Regarding your lifestyle, is there a great balance between work and your time at home or your personal time?
I mean, I'd be lying if I said no. I mean, because of the pandemic, I've been able to work from home. Actually, when it first started, when March 17th, 2020, my company said, hey, okay, everybody's got to work from home, and they had to make it happen for 40,000 people. And they did that in the course of 3 weeks, sending equipment home with people and, making sure everybody was up and running. And people were working from home for a year, and majority of people still are working from home. They have opened up our office, some of our offices, and there are some people that are there. But being at home, it's a great work-life balance, because if I need something done, like around the house, like if I need to get laundry done, okay, I'll put a load in while, but then I'm still working. And I'm luckily, I'm blessed to be in a salary position now. So I'm not having to account for every hour of the day. So my work is more project related, as opposed to, punching a time card. So if I need to, to have an appointment, say, okay, well, I'll be out as long as I give notice to my team, just put it on the calendar, send an email saying, hey, I'm gonna have to log off at 1 on Friday. That's no problem.
Oh, do y'all have like an intranet, how to keep in touch? Just necessarily just emails?
Like if I was offline, I mean, we have for my position, and for a lot of people in my sub organization under the company, we have company phones. So on the company phones, I've got my personal phone and I've got my company phone, and I don't have to keep the company phone on all the time, but it's a way, if I needed to be contacted, if I had to step away, that I could be. So, and on the phone, of course, there's text messaging on the phone. They can call me, and we've got apps. We've got Slack at work, and we've got a Slack app, so that if people wanted to message me that way, they can do that as well.
Does that work well for you with those apps and other?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's it's the way that they've set up our work phone is basically the email, Slack. At one time we didn't have Skype, but even Zoom, I can go ahead and attend Zoom meetings via my phone. So I don't even really have to log on. If I had like a day full of meetings, I don't have to turn on my laptop. So, and then I could, as long as you're present in mind for the meeting, they don't care if you're, driving in your car or if you're in a parking lot of a Sonic, it's fine. Yeah. And I can't say that's how it is for every single person in the company, but for my position, that's how it is.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, how about you? If it's like, if you're off the clock, I mean, do they try to call you in for anything, or, so like, do they expect you to be reachable?
Based on the customer's needs. If we're really short of people, are like her and other bosses desperately try to reach out to people, even on their days off. Even for them just to work a few hours can make a huge difference.
Okay, well, are people expected to say yes?
Oh, most of them say no.
That's what I'm saying. So if you say I mean, they can try, but if they're not paying you on call pay, or if they're not, if it's not part of your regularly scheduled hours, the most they could do is ask. If even that. Yeah.
I mean, it's even like maybe a small percentage would say yes.
Yeah. Well, some people might want the hours. Some people might have nothing to do and say, hey, okay, I'll work some, or maybe I can, kind of flex my time. So if I do these 4 hours, maybe I can take 4 hours off somewhere else. But even in my company, like I said, it all depends on your leader. I had one pretty bad boss who did not follow, the company's philosophies, and he would, kind of bother people. I had one coworker, and this is when I was back working IT, and her grandfather had died. So she had taken time off. We get bereavement leave for grandparents, and she had taken time off, and she did say, if anybody at work, she put it out there and said, my grandfather died. This is going to be his memorial service if anybody does want to come. So my boss, our boss at the time, went to the memorial service, and his words to her was, okay, just really, sad to hear about your grandfather. And then he said, really missing you back at work. Like, she's at the funeral of her grandfather, and you're basically implying that we sure could use you back at the job.
Bad timing.
Yeah. And so granted to say, he's I have seen his name. He's still with the company, but he's no longer a manager. So
Wow. That's just like my boss talking to someone after they get their COVID test. Oh, can you come into work?
yeah, and
You're getting a COVID test.
Yes, and there's a lot of lines that people, don't realize that bosses cross that they shouldn't. There's the health violations. It's like, oh, are you really sick? I want to see a doctor's note. That's not for your manager to see, because it's a HIPAA violation. The Health Information and Privacy Protection Act, or I'm not sure what it stands for. But a lot of times you'll see, bosses, they're like, are you really sick? And they're not allowed to ask that. But people think that he's the boss and I should be able to, if he wants to know if I'm really sick, I got to prove it. That's up to between you and your human resources department.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sometimes some of the stones on these bosses sometimes.
I think what also affects the workplace is the pay. Some feel that they deserve to be paid more based. Sometimes the one where I work at, they want to be paid along with how they perform as well. Puts a little bit of some money there for them. Mm-hmm. But I think for us lately, we're all defaulted to a certain pay. It's a higher pay, but everyone's being paid equally. But that also, it gets in the way of those that have been working for so long.
Yeah, doesn't seem fair, huh? Like for somebody who's been there for 10 years is getting the same pay as somebody who's been there for 8 months.
Yes. And
yeah, sad to say, you can't really, I mean, you can bring it up as a grievance, to the company, but if the company wants to do that with their money, it's sad to say you can't really make them pay everybody, how they should be. And that's when people have to kind of make that hard decision on, is it worth it staying here? Yeah. On the other hand, it's like, if I was happy with my pay and I didn't know that the Jane there makes as much as I do, would I be bothered? Or am I only bothered because of what Jane's making? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, would you be bothered if you didn't know that she was getting paid as much as you?
I would.
So it's like, yeah, it's like, I guess that's why they say, you shouldn't discuss your pay with other people, because that's just going to lead to, you're going to find out some bad things. But yeah, it's definitely not fair. And if the company put it out there publicly saying, hey, sorry, everybody's going to be raised up to this pay, and now everybody's getting paid equally, yeah, you're going to get a lot of disgruntled people. And I don't fault people for being upset, but there's only so much you can do about that within the company.
But right now, I hear that things are ironed out a little bit, that there's a communication going on with a certain employer and the boss about that. And I'm still waiting word on that officially. I'm sure something will work out sooner or later, because we sure don't want to lose good workers.
Was that a company-wide decision, or was that maybe a particular supervisor manager saying, hey, I'm going to decide to pay everybody equally?
I think it has to do with it's probably our region itself, because we're all Chicago. And I think the company was saying that they want to pay everybody equally. I think because everybody's complaining about their pay rate. Like we're all being paid low. So now, just to make it fair, everyone gets paid equally.
It's kind of like the people at the lower end were making not enough, so they raise them up. But you can't just raise them up. You have to raise everybody accordingly.
Yeah.
That's the right way to do it. Yeah.
Yep. So that's what's being worked on right now. Hopefully I'll get more word about it. It's something that's going on as we speak. And I think a firm bought the company that I work with 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's been some changes going on. I see that, and it's good in some ways. It's good for many of us workers to be competitive, trying to go for that pay, see who's doing a good job. But with this in the way now, it kind of puts everything on back to square one again. Yeah, well, I'm sure something will come up.
Well, I hope it works out, because if they do have if they create some type of incentive to say, hey, if you do this, this, and this, then you'll be in a higher pay scale. Is that going to create a toxic environment between the employees, making it overly competitive? Yeah. Where people are stepping on each other to try to get that higher pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's tough. I mean,
yeah, sometimes I'm looking, Dan, and I see some of these people, they're just flat out lazy. And I said to myself, why are they getting paid as much as I am? And I'm over here being the passive guy. Mm-hmm. I don't really say much during work. I usually am productive and also very helpful at times to people that need the help if they need some advice or that kind of thing.
That's a company problem, because if there are going to be people out there who aren't doing their jobs but aren't going to get in trouble and they're still going to get paid, then they have no incentive to do their jobs. Yeah. They're never going to get in trouble for it. So it's not really on them. They're just kind of bucking the system, right? So yeah. It's really on the company to say, hey, you're not doing your job and John is, so, you're going to, get moved out, you're going to get fired, or we're going to go ahead and give John a raise. That's the right way to do it. But yeah, if they're not getting in trouble, I mean, are their bosses not seeing that they're not working?
Oh, well, some of them are just like distracted. Some of them are just looking at computer work. Some of them just don't know how to run a flow. Mm-hmm. They're not there when someone needs the help, and then you got these workers that just constantly use the restroom so often.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they're not doing anything.
The best thing to do is to not pick up on their slack, and I've seen a lot of people do it, like when they're working for a team or something, and you've got some slackers, and then so the rest of the team says, well, we got to get this done, so we're going to have to work twice as hard to pick up because of their slack. If you do that, then the boss, who can't be everywhere at once, is going to think everybody's doing their job. So if sometimes you just have to let it fail. If you're running some type of project and some people aren't doing their job, and the project's not going to get done because those 3 people aren't doing their job, then the project just doesn't get done. And then when the boss comes down on everybody and says, why didn't it get done? Well, because some people weren't doing their work. And that's when it gets called out. Because if you pick up the slack of people who aren't working, then it's never going to be known that they're slacking.
That's true. In my job, though, they do look at the stats, especially towards the end. They see how many units we've counted. They look at the rank. They see the lowest performer, and of course, the lowest one, I'm sure, will be given a talk or be signed out. Based, because since we're closing out the inventory, they pretty much will just sign them out real quick, since they're not top performers, and they would rather let the top performers finish it out, whatever's left.
Yeah, but does that mean that the bottom performers are actually let go, or are they just moved somewhere else?
Oh, they're just like over where I'm at. They just completely like signed out. They have to wait, but it's not a long wait though. It's probably like maybe less than an hour.
So it's not really, I guess it doesn't seem like a very harsh consequence for being a bottom performer. Being a bottom performer, if you're performing at the bottom and you're not trying, then you should be afraid that, hey, I might lose my job, But if it's just, you're going to be signed out for an hour. I mean, that's what an hour pay pretty much docked from them, I guess. Yep. But is that it? If I was somebody who was a slacker and I felt like I didn't want to work, and because I was partying the night before, and I said I feel like I didn't want to work. I said, okay, well, I'll lose that last hour pay just so I can go ahead and get the rest. So basically they're getting a non-paid break.
Yeah.
So like I said, it doesn't seem like a consequence that would eradicate the bad behavior.
That's true.
Yeah, it should be something like, hey, if you're signed out, if we have to sign you out because of low performance and you're not improving over, and it happens to you 3 times in a rolling month, then you get written up or you get let go.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. Is because a lot of times an hour's worth of pay is, to me, okay, well, I get to take a nap for an hour. I'll go ahead and give up my hour's worth of pay.
Yeah.
Because look at the differences in people. When you and I were working at the commissary, remember we had two different classes of people. You had the people who worked full time, and then you had us who were the teenagers.
Right.
So if we were goofing off as the teenagers, they're like, okay, well, go home. Like, okay, it's fine with me. I'm not going to get tips, but I get to go home, or I'll go to the main gate and I'll go see a movie. Whereas for the people who are full time, if they were told to go home, they're like, well, I got to pay bills. So it's more important for me to try to make this money. So if the slackers in your job now are like the teenagers who don't care if they don't make an hour or two's worth of money, then yeah, it's no punishment to them. They've got a vacation, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, our job is a high turnover ratio. Many of them don't last long.
That's tough because, yeah, you get people who don't have the incentive to want to stay there for a long time anyway, so they don't really care. It's tough. It's like a lot of call center jobs. That's why they treat a lot of call center people like crap and pay them low money, because they know it's a high turnover rate, and they'll just go ahead and have somebody else come in. So, but honestly, knowing you and knowing what you could perform, I know you have the potential to be doing a lot more. You got your book in the works. You're good at networking with people and stuff. I think that this is just a little speed bump for you.
Yeah. Well, with the limited time we have left here, I guess I can bring up what I was wanting to tell you.
Okay.
I'm going to go over here on my official Twitter page. It's
right.
Jonnyroobs. I'm going to read it. And this affected me this whole week. Two nights ago, I was just at my very lowest. I've never felt so disappointed in myself. It's in regards to where I am right now in life. Sometimes it's the work balance. It seems like I'm working more than I am spending time working on my craft. It has significantly improved to some degree, but still I don't have enough to do a lot of things like running or any other type of activity. Really, I still feel like I'm confined to my work. But I'll go forth, folks, reading this tweet. I put, I can only go as far in helping others. I try my best wanting him or her to succeed, but it is up for them to do the rest. I am affected mentally because I am so attached to them. I even have my own problems to deal with on top of that. So,
man, I mean, it's tough. And, but, the one thing I can say to that is, handle yourself first, because if you're the type of person who, who likes to be there for everybody else, and you can't be there for everybody if, you're not functioning at 100%. So if you need to do what you got to do to make sure that you're, in your peak mental and emotional state, so if that means just, taking a sabbatical from everybody for a while, or maybe having to take a couple of days off if you need to kind of just, reflect, work on you first. I mean, because a lot of times people, good-hearted people want to make sure that everybody else is doing well, and then they end up suffering in the process, so, just like I said, work on yourself right now. Take the time and put yourself on the pedestal right now.
Oh, thanks a lot, man.
I mean, you got to think you deserve it. You're there for you, and you're trying to be the best person that you can be. So,
yeah, man. I mean, I was really just at my lowest 2 nights ago, man. I probably won't even do a podcast, even in that state. It wouldn't work out. But thank goodness, good friends are able to get me back and focus on things. You yourself giving me just this good advice just now. My friend Ray, he caught that tweet. He was the one that spoke up to me on that, and he was very concerned. One of my coworkers was concerned as well, and And then just a while ago, before we even chatted here, I was talking to Sharon Massarin about it, and she put in some good words of encouragement. So
That's good
to get good feedback.
Well, you did the right thing. You turn to your friends and your family. It's, you got to know you're not alone in this, and you got people out there who want to see you succeed, want to see you be at your best. So, a lot of times people will bottle it up inside, and then we have tragic stuff happen, like, for Robin Williams, who was out there entertaining the world, and inside, he was hurting. So, just make sure that you've got this support base, and everybody's out there wanting to see you succeed and care about your well-being.
Yeah, and for anyone out there at work who's seeing someone feeling really down, please do what you can and try to talk with them. Even just spend a minute or two and just have a conversation. It can make a big difference.
Yeah, that's true. And for anybody who's out there who is the one who is feeling down, don't think that you have to do it alone. Reach out to somebody that but people care regardless of what people think. Everybody thinks that oh, they don't care. People do care. So and also chocolate ice cream helps a lot.
Really?
Yeah, it does. You can't be unhappy eating chocolate ice cream. Come on, any type of fudge brownie, Rocky Road, whatever, plain chocolate.
Man, I had mango pomegranate like in this one place. Yeah, that was real good.
Oh, I just had some mango chamoy sherbet.
Ooh.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Man, I got to visit San Antonio one day. Maybe we'll have ice cream over there.
You might want to check it out. You might want to do more than visit.
Yeah,
it's a good place to hang your hat.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
By the way, I know many of you are not seeing this on video, but I am putting on my Tony Stark glasses. I just want to feel confident today.
I did notice I was going to bring it up.
Yeah.
See if you have the nanobots and bring your suit out. Bring your Mark 85 out. I'm sure that's wrong.
Oh man. Well, Dan, I'm very honored to have you again on my podcast. This is like the usual thing now, every Friday or every Saturday. I'm trying to do this during the mid-season break. I think this is a good routine. I love it. I find it therapeutic.
Oh, I think so too. I think talking things out just helps, and if it can help anybody, if it can help us, then it's a success.
Yes, it is. And this is wonderful too, that we're talking organically here without any script whatsoever. Nothing for me to read.
Yeah, I've been reading this whole time.
Yeah. And I felt like I've improved a little bit on the way I speak. Sometimes when I speak doing these podcasts, sometimes I jump a little bit too much because I'm kind of nervous at the same time talking to the person. But I feel now that I've gotten control of it. I feel I sound clearer. I sound concise. I mean, listen to those past episodes. It just sounds sounds very amateurish, but that's how I began. And it's I've grown with podcasting, and it's working out in my favor right now.
Yes, you definitely you keep it on track, and you got some good topics going, and you do sound a lot more confident than you did like in the very first one, I'd say.
Oh yes,
not that you sounded bad in the first one. It's just that you just sound like you really settled into your flow now.
Yeah, and in the Sharon one, I was maybe halfway towards getting better, but I think maybe when we do the reunion episode at some point, I'm sure it'll be way better.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, you got to think, you were probably a bit starstruck at the time too.
Oh yes, I was. I admit I was. Sharon, if you're listening, I was.
Well, I was talking about me.
And you too.
No, I thought you were Star Trek with me. Yeah.
Well, I was kind of starstruck of you when I saw you for the first time. I'm like, wow.
Then you're like, who's this bald overweight guy? Why was I starting? No.
Oh man, where did time go, my friend?
It's gone. But you know what? We got plenty more days to make up and to create new stuff.
That's great. And I look forward to season 3 next year. Everything is going to be changing for the better. Hopefully we'll get a lot of good topics as well as a wonderful guest to have on the show.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find some really good ones.
I said it's my podcast. Sure you will.
It's your show too, man.
I'm just on it. It's John Eric's world. I'm just a squirrel trying to get in that.
Oh my goodness. I know what the next lyric is going to be too.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, everybody, thank you for listening to 2400 Block, a Jonnyroobs and Company podcast. We look forward to having you again and listen to us on the next episode. Once again, that's Dan over there in Texas. Say bye, Dan, to the folks.
I will say bye, Dan, to the folks.
And I'll say bye right now.
And see all our peeps in VA.
All right.
You down.
Represent. All right. Take care, everyone. Okay. There you go.
All right. Let me stop recording.